You wake up, you forget the dream, but the feeling stays. Why would your brain waste energy on something that isn't real? It wouldn't. So why do we dream?
Most of the time, when you wake up from a dream, you forget what actually happened, but you remember how it made you feel. If the dream was bad, you forget the events, but the fear stays, the anxiety stays, the emotion stays. And here's the important question. The human body never wastes energy, ever. Every organ has one main goal: survival. So imagine an organ doing something useless, burning energy for no reason. That would make no sense. And that brings us to today's question. Why do humans dream? Why do you dream? Dreaming consumes energy, so there must be a reason.
First theory says that the brain uses dreams to train itself for danger. That's why bad dreams are usually very bad. Your brain takes things from your real life, things you care about, mixes them together, adds exaggeration, and turns them into extreme danger. Sometimes the details don't even make logical sense, and that's fine because the goal isn't logic. The goal is emotion. The brain is training your emotional response to danger while you're asleep. That's why children dream about monsters or evil cartoon characters. Those are the only threats they understand. But adults dream about losing loved ones, falling from high places, or failing in life. The threats change because your life changes. And that supports the idea that dreams simulate danger to prepare you. But there's a problem. Not all dreams are bad. So this theory can't explain everything.
The second theory says that dreams help your brain process daily information. Your brain decides what's important and what isn't. For example, you might remember that an Xbox controller is white, but you probably don't remember the color of a tiny button. Why? Because the brain saves energy. It only stores what matters. But during sleep, the brain may reorganize information, moving data from short-term memory to long-term memory. This happens mainly in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. That's also why if you study a lot, you dream about exams. If you play a game for hours, you dream about the game. Your brain is training efficiency. The more familiar something becomes, the less energy it costs to process later. Again, survival through energy optimization.
The third theory says dreams exist to regulate emotions. People who are sleep-deprived often have unstable emotions, high anxiety, poor emotional control. That's not a coincidence. Another key detail, you forget dream events, but you remember the emotions. That suggests dreams are less about stories and more about emotional processing. A brain area called the amygdala, which controls fear and stress, becomes highly active during dreams. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the logic center, is mostly offline. So emotions are turned up and logic is turned down. That's why dreams feel so real.
What's actually happening in your brain? The prefrontal cortex, logic and reality, is quiet. The amygdala, emotion, is overactive. The hippocampus mixes memories. The visual cortex creates images with closed eyes. The thalamus invents sensory signals. The brainstem directs the whole process and paralyzes your muscles so you don't act out dreams. Your brain is literally producing a movie safely. When you wake up, logic comes back online and says, relax, it was just a dream.
There are many theories. None are 100% proven, but all of them connect to one core idea: survival, energy efficiency, adaptation. The brain doesn't do pointless things, so dreaming exists for a reason, even if we don't fully understand it yet.